What's going on, Broncos country? Welcome to another edition of the Bourbon Broncos and OWBN Postgame Podcast. My name's Kevin, and I got Scott the Flagman here. And we got a fun show tonight. Broncos demolishing the Saints on the road on Thursday Night Football, 33-10, totally just routing them down there. Sean Peyton's homecoming game after 17 years. Sean Peyton has now beaten every team in the NFL. So one other little check mark on his way to the Hall of Fame. But the Bo Nix experiment is the biggest obstacle in his path to getting enshrined there in Canton. So, Scott, we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about offense. We're going to talk about defense. Heck, we might throw in some special teams conversation. I don't know. But either way, it's going to be fun. How you doing, man?
Man, I tell you what, I slept like a baby last night. I was a little bit, the tiniest bit nervous going into this game. And they were making on the radio, they were making such a big thing that Sean showed up at this luncheon and, oh my God, they're not going to be ready. And that's the enemy. And I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on? I don't know.
Right.
And then the game started, and you know what? We actually moved the ball a little bit that first drive. So I became very at ease quickly.
Yeah. So once you saw, we knew the Saints were beat up, but there were still a big question, especially on the Broncos in terms of, one, how's the defense going to hold up with no PS2? Because we kind of just saw them fall flat after, Pat Surtain went out in the game against the Chargers, and really talking about him being the lifeblood of this team, especially the heartbeat of the defense. So if it was like a full week they had to prepare and they were the home team, okay, my worries would have been a whole lot less from that situation. But with it being a short week on the road, following a divisional loss, going to a game that's going to be emotional for your head coach, it's just, there's a lot there to unpack, right? And then you got to wonder, how's your young quarterback going to handle that quick turnaround, his first primetime game? So there were definitely some worries there. So let's go ahead and actually back up a little bit. You went ahead and started off, but let's rewind like we always do, going back to the start of the game, man. What was your mindset? What are you thinking? Like, we're talking right here, like, there's some concerns, but what else was going through your mind before the start of the game?
Well, it's been so long since we've had a team that can actually go out on the road and actually perform. Right now, our team's been performing better on the road than they have at home. And I tell you, the only concern I really had is, are we going to be able to get started before the crowd can really, really get into it? And I thought, a quick start is important so that the crowd never fully engages out there. Big night with Drew Brees, the return of Sean Peyton. There's a lot of emotions going on. And you and I both know from being in the stands that's real. That is real.
For sure.
Until you get punched in the mouth a few times. And then at that point, then the crowd kind of goes out of it because they're like, okay, whatever, I'm done with that. I had a little bit of trepidation, but then I was pretty happy they came out. They moved the chains a little bit. But I was concerned. Bo just didn't look sharp, but what I did like, you and I talked about this RPO, and for the first time since all year, really, they started doing some RPO, and I was excited about that because I thought, I turned to the family. I was like, this is what I've been talking about. Let's utilize some of the strengths that he has. At least to help until he gets more comfortable in the pocket, because his footwork is all over the board.
It is. And that's probably the one thing that with me being just one of the world-renowned quarterback footwork experts that I am, you may not have known that about me. It's a little pastime, a little hobby of mine. So you guys might not know, but with all my expertise on quarterback footwork, I would say that that's the one thing that I would say, if anything has regressed in Bo Nix, it's been that. It's been the basics. It's been the fundamentals. And don't blame them. The NFL game speed is just very different from college. Things are a lot more complicated. I mean, yes, we got him because of his brain, and Sean Peyton loved how he was able to pick up on the playbook so quickly, and the plays and the concepts. Definitely a very smart guy, but there's things that the game has to slow down for him. And he has to get comfortable in that pocket, like you're talking about. The internal game clock needs to slow down. And I think that's where we're seeing the situations where he busts out of that pocket a little too early, or where it's still a very solid, clean pocket, and he feels that pressure. He feels like I'm running out of time, where he doesn't. And that just takes experience. That takes time, him looking at the game tape saying, yeah, I had another solid second, maybe even 2 seconds before I had to bail out of there. And going back to the game the next week, reminding himself, experiencing that, readjusting his internal clock. And I think over time, that's what's going to allow things to slow down and help calm down his footwork, help him reestablish those fundamentals, those basics. But I guess it's a very, very, very long-winded way of me just saying, guys, it takes time. Just be patient. But I feel you, man.
That's the thing is, he the first part of the season, he really was just standing back there and getting rid of the ball quickly. Mm-hmm. And I think I heard the stat today. It was like 3.4 seconds is his average time, and he had one play where he held on to it for like 8.5 seconds when he underthrew. He kind of was killing some gophers in the dome there. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes he's rushing stuff when he doesn't need to rush it.
Exactly.
And I don't know what, that's just something that's just kind of starting in the last few weeks, because I don't think that was the case the first couple weeks. It looked like he was, he wasn't great, but it just seemed like he was a little more comfortable back in that pocket.
Yep. Yeah, so I don't know, injuries to the offensive line. Yeah, we got McGlinchey back this week, which was huge. I think that was probably what contributed immensely to the run game, and we can talk about that obviously in a sec. But Bo Nix is getting there. Look, 164 yards, 16 for 26. No, he didn't throw any touchdowns, but another game of no interceptions. So he had an interception the first 2 games. He had 1 interception last week. 4 on the year, basically?
I think he's got 5 for the season. Yeah.
5 on the season?
I think he's up to 5.
He's averaging less than 1 a week. Yeah. When's the last time we had a quarterback that averaged less than 1 interception a week?
Well, now a lot of the Rusties are going to tell you Russ was great last year because he was throwing touchdowns and all that.
Let me include fumbles. Now the argument is kiboshed. From holding.
But
now I will say,
his turnover ratios it's gotten. I think he's 8-5, 8 touchdowns to 5 fumbles or 5 interceptions. So, but a lot of people want to point to the ones that didn't happen. The ones that got away is Jake Owen. As Jake Owen would sing to us.
For sure.
Look,
you could say there was definitely one right before halftime that very, very, very well should have been picked off.
Honey Badger,
but guess what? It wasn't.
Honey Badger don't care. Honey Badger.
Yeah, exactly. But it wasn't picked off, so I don't care how close it was. I don't care how close it was to a touchdown. I don't care how close it was to being inbounds. if that didn't happen, it didn't happen. So,
but
right. It was.
Think of all the touchdowns that he almost threw.
Right. Exactly. Right. So, we're not going to talk about the almost ones. I think at this point,
that's what makes the game fun.
Right. In the moment of the game, during that game, after the game, it's like, yeah, we don't get anymore because that 0 in the interception column, it doesn't say 0.5. It doesn't say 0 asterisk almost. It just says 0. So I'll take it. Did have a comment during the halftime show for everybody watching or listening. Remember, we are live every halftime of every Broncos game. Allison, who's one of our longtime supporters, so I don't know if she's listening to this, record or whatever. Thank you, Allison, for supporting us and everything. She did make a comment. She thought that Bo Nix was holding on to the ball too long. I would say that it may seem that way, but he's able to because the offensive line did an incredible job last night. They did an incredible job with pass protection. It wasn't like he was, holding onto the ball too long, which resulted in sacks and strip sacks and extra pressures and everything. He had the time in the pocket to make it feel like, and maybe as Broncos fans, it feels like, oh my gosh, he needs to get rid of the football because we're so used to that offensive line crumbling and allowing that pressure to get back there so quickly. But they were holding up incredibly well last night and allowing Bo Nix to have the time in the pocket. And that's where it's frustrating to see him break out of that clean pocket because for the first time in I don't know how many years, you're like, wow, we got an offensive line that's actually doing their job. We got McGlinchey back in there. Like, this is looking good. Bo, stay in the clean pocket, man.
Yeah. And unfortunately, he unfortunately had at least 3 passes in that pocket where he held on to it and he didn't need to rush it. And one of them would have been a touchdown easily, whether he threw to the guy in front or the guy that was down near the goal line, it would have been a touchdown. And then the one where we had it 3rd and 1 and he kind of danced around and he just short-armed it to a wide open tight end. And those are the frustrating ones. And, he didn't get sacked. Oh, did he get any sacks? I don't think he had any sacks. What was nice, and I think you and I talked about this maybe off air, is we need to get this team to play with a lead, and then we'll really see how awesome this defense is going to be. Because those guys, I tell you what, man, there are some animals out there. We've seen Allen just causing havoc. Ellis is learning, and it'll come before the end of the year. And then you got Baron Browning back, and Nick Bonito is he did something. Yeah. First time in like 6 years that we had somebody get a sack in the first 7 games.
Yeah, I was going to say he's like won a game
since since the great Von Miller. I mean, so that's some good things, And Cooper was he was putting pressure on. I don't know if he got a sack or not, but. We ended up with 6 sacks. This team starts playing with the lead. Watch out. Watch out.
Look, we were entering this game 2nd in the league on sacks. I think they said with 22. Got 6 more.
28. That's amazing.
Yeah, that is impressive. No, Cooper did not get any, but fantastic to see these guys. And it's not like 1 or 2 players getting 2 or 3 sacks a game. It's Justin Sternad got 1, Cody Barton got 1, McMillan got 1, Bonito got 1, Franklin Myers got 1, Allen and Ellis both got half of 1. Like, everybody's getting to the backfield. It
was funny because at one point I was like, geez, we're really pressuring them. We need to get some sacks. And I looked at my phone and we had 1 sack. And then it was like, okay,
Boom, boom,
we're
boom.
done playing. We're going to put you down.
Yeah. As soon as that's what you're talking about. As soon as we get the lead and that coverage is able to do their job in the backfield, that secondary, lock up the coverage, force the QB to just have to look to their second, third reads back to the first. And, by that point, somebody from our team is going to be in the backfield, So once they have to abandon the run game, once they have to start trying to get those big chunk plays to the air because it's late in the game and they're down, yeah, that's when we're going to start racking up those sacks, man. And I was hoping to see a little bit more in the first half because their offensive line was beat up. But hey, it's how you end the game. It's not necessarily how you start. And look, 0 QB hits, 0 sacks allowed from Broncos offensive line. We got 6 sacks, 11 QB hits. Like we brought the pressure, to say the least.
Yeah, it's I love aggressive defense. I just love, because my point, I've always used to say this, no matter how good the quarterback is, I used to say this with Tom Brady, it's hard for him to throw the ball when he's laying on his back.
Fact. Very well.
He's a great quarterback, but really tough when you're laying down on your back. You ain't going to throw very good.
Unless you're Mahomes, and even if you're in the air on your side.
He's a little more creative. And I think Bo, it's like Bo's trying to channel his inner Mahomes. And right now, I just need Bo to channel his inner Bo.
Yeah.
And start get back to the basics. I love the designed runs. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are great. And I don't mind the runs when something's broke down, run.
Right.
But it's almost, I think he's almost using that too much as a crutch.
Well, that's exactly the concern. And I think, I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago where it seemed almost like it looked like Bo, thought about running and then something was holding him back. Something internal was saying, no, wait another second or two, take another look or whatever the case was. Just because there were 2 or 3 instances where it's like, oh my God, run, So I think that's exactly the coaching is when you have a quarterback this young, and I completely agree with it, who can use their legs, that's fantastic, but you got to get them to understand how to, utilize all their skill sets and not just bail themselves out with their legs every time. Eventually those legs are going to give out on them, Yes. And I think that's kind of what you see with Russell Wilson. He was a quarterback that was incredibly good with using his legs, but I don't think he ever was pushed to have to not rely on that. Let's force you to work out of the pocket. Let's force you to use the throws. Yes, use your legs when you have to, but don't use that as that's what I'm going to do every time to get myself out of every single tough situation. Yeah. Because when you're older, you can't run anymore. Then you turn into Russell Wilson.
Yeah. And
Tom Brady even had to adjust.
Yeah. Yeah. So. It's a difficult thing. I feel like he's going to continue to develop. He's a smart kid. And that's the one thing I really like about him, because I do see so many glimpses of hope, and the young kids. I mean, we need to get Vele out there a little more. I thought they were forcing a little bit the Troy Franklin. I mean, I don't know. You don't have any targets to Cortland Sutton. I don't know. It's almost
that's my fault.
This could be Sean Peyton just pushing this a little bit, because that was the guy he really went to the carpet on. That's it. That was his guy. But man, Vele, just all he does is make plays.
Mm-hmm.
And he caught that slant pattern. And it was like, okay, now bring him down, because that's a big man when he's got a head of steam.
We're talking about a potential playmaker. Yeah, That's a guy that can do it. Now, I know we were just saying that almost doesn't count, right? I know I went on a whole spiel on how almost doesn't count. If you look at the stats sheet here, Devon Vele was 1 for 3, but he did have 2 other receptions. Both of those, which were chunk yards, at least 10 yards, if not longer on both of those, were called back due to penalties.
Yeah.
So there were 2 other big plays that he stepped up, made a catch, and got some yards afterwards. They just were negated because of the penalties. So that was sad to see, because we are looking for Devon Vele to step up and shine. And but it's just, I think this is another game where he's done just that. For everybody out there who had Cortland Sutton on your fantasy team, because you thought this would be a good matchup for Cortland Sutton to at least get 1, maybe 2 touchdowns this week, I apologize. This is my fault. I started him on my team, and I think that's why the Broncos just didn't even target him. So you can blame me.
That's a real head scratcher. But he's such a professional, and he's a team guy.
For sure.
He's a team guy. He's not going to start, going and tweeting out and
throwing
making
a hissy fit, temper tantrum. Yeah. He's not going to turn into OBJ.
I love the chemistry of the team overall, the defense and the offense. Just there's a good mix of veterans and young players, and that's important. You got to have people playing for each other.
It's the culture, and we haven't had that. It's just not been there, man. The culture for the Broncos organization has just been one of, let's say, ineptitude for years. Yeah. It started turning around last year when Sean Payton came in, but it started with just, every time we'd lose a game and we go on these 2, 3, 4, 5 game losing streaks, you just see in the players' faces, like, here we go again, and it's like week 6, week 7. And you can tell they're just like, oh, that's it for the year. That was fun while it lasted. I guess we'll just go out there, collect our paychecks. Not saying that they didn't try, but
they're learning to win, and that is something you got. It's a lot easier to learn to lose. But they're learning to win, and that's good. And I hope they don't take Carolina for granted. I'm anticipating them coming out and really playing a strong game that day and not looking towards the Ravens. And then, you can't go into the Ravens and the Chiefs saying, well, we're just happy to be here.
Right. You're just happy to be 5-3.
And you say, you know what? We're going to smack you in the mouth.
We're going to if you're going to beat us, it's going to hurt. You're going to be feeling it the next week, like, okay, we beat them, but ow, no. I think this team is playing with the chip on their shoulder.
People will know they're in a fight with us, I think.
Yeah.
That's not always been the case. Hasn't been the case for a while, I think.
Right. Nobody is still taking this defense seriously. I'd say there was a little bit more, just looking at all the week 7 picks that people were doing. There's a little bit more love being thrown towards the Broncos this week than previous weeks, but there were a lot of people that still thought this Saints team was just going to roll over the Broncos. They were just going to shut down Bo Nix. They were just going to, that Sean Rattler or whatever his name was just go out there and put up 30 points against the Broncos defense. Like, what? Got to give us some credit at some point. So look, either Baltimore and the Chiefs, these teams are going to overlook us. We're going to be their trap game. But I fully expect that these, we're going to go on the road. Look what we did in Tampa Bay and out in New York. They had better take it seriously, man, because this team is fighting for something, and it's something we haven't seen them fight for in 8-9 years at this point. And I think you're right; they're fighting for each other.
Yeah, I love the style that we're playing with, and it's just they're just after each. I mean, they are playing like their pants are on fire a lot of times.
Yeah, even with the lead, like they're not letting up. The defense is still going out there. Even if they're out there on a long drive, like they're out there the next time around and they get at it. So there's bounce back in this team too. It's hard to learn to win, but it's even harder to learn to win when it's a short week on the road following a tough divisional loss at home. You said it earlier, we're better on the road this year than we are at home so far. Like, yeah, it's tough. It's tough for those guys.
The last
they went out there
time
and
you
they
could
did
say
it.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And maybe that was a good thing. Boy, we talked about that last week. Is maybe just going on the road after such a short turnaround, maybe was a good thing to just kind of flush away that loss.
Yeah.
Get that.
No time to dwell on it. Absolutely none. It's, hey, we got to move on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this defense a little bit. I know we've touched on it throughout the show so far, but we haven't really honed in on it. I don't know where else to start with this defense other than saying the name Cody Barton about 55 times. I mean, holy crap. You're talking about a guy, probably AFC Defensive Player of the Week, which would mean that 2 of the last 3 weeks, the Broncos would have had an AFC Defensive Player of the Week. This guy, now I don't know if they will, but this guy not only had 8 total tackles, 1 sack, you could call it the scoop and score sort of interception, fumble recovery, whatever. But he also almost had that other one if it hadn't been called back as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're talking about a guy that's flying across the field. Cody Barton was probably the lifeblood of the defense last night. Talking about somebody that stepped up. Holy crap.
Yeah. There's so many no names in this defense. I mean, that was the thing everybody was harping on. It's like, well, their defense has nobody. I mean, they're just, and that's true until it's not true. And now these guys are saying, yeah, you don't know who we are, but guess what? You will know us before the end of the game. Yeah. And Zach Allen, I was super excited when we signed Zach Allen last year, and I was like, okay, well, he's not quite what they build him to, but he's solid, and sure. And this year, guy is leading the league in pressures, and I've always liked Baron Browning if he can just stay healthy. I mean, Baron Browning to me is a poor man's version of our boy Von Miller.
Yeah,
he has an incredible bend. He's fast. It's just, can he stay healthy for an extended time?
Because he did go down again at the end of the game, didn't he?
Did he? Oh, I don't know. I know
somebody did that just came back. I thought it was Browning. Either way, that's going to be interesting to see what they say on that injury report.
Well, and they've shored up that middle of the line. The guy they got from New Orleans is the real deal. Malcolm Roach.
Yep.
I mean, teams got a Roach problem. There is a Roach problem when you're on offense against the Broncos.
Exactly. It's not a problem for us.
No. But
I don't think there's an exterminator out there that can take care of that problem.
And that's so important to have that guy in the middle that's just going to clog everything up, and still he's going to pressure that quarterback up the middle once in a while. That man is a full-blown man, and he's a problem for most offenses. And I love, Baron Browning's great. DJ Jones is super solid. We need to get him re-signed next year. And Nick Bonito. I always thought Nick Bonito was getting a bad rap after his first year. I just thought people were like beating him up a little prematurely.
Sure.
And then, and then he's kind of come out and he's shown why he was their pick.
Right.
He's solid. He is a solid guy. And like I say, I love Cooper. That was a steal of the draft when they got him in the 7th round from Ohio State. And what do you have? A heart problem or something, huh?
Something, yeah. But
because he fell. They stole him.
That was why. Yeah, there was some medical issue. And I think he kind of maybe had a slow start as well. I think he had flashes, right? But it wasn't anything consistent. And he also wasn't out there a lot because we were still working with all those free agents we were bringing in and stuff.
Sure.
But with the last couple of years, I think he got a lot of playing time last year, and then having the time to just be on the same coaching staff and everything. The second year, he's gone out there and he's really stepped up. And to see all these young guys, everyone wants a piece of it. Everyone's like, my turn, me next. I'm up next. Yep. We're not just relying on one or two guys. And this is what makes this is the making of a really cool defense. When you're not just waiting for Von Miller to step up, or you're not just waiting on PS2 to step up. It's like, who's it going to be this play? Who's it going to be this play? Who's it going to be? Because you never know which direction it's going to come from. Who's it going to be? Who's going to get through? Who's going to get the interception? Who's going to force the ball out of the hands? Whatever the case is. So these guys are for real. Yeah, they may be younger and inexperienced so far, but you give them some more time. I'm telling you, like this is something that could turn into something even scarier than it already is for opposing teams.
Yeah. I remember being at training camp his rookie year. And I was like, who is that guy? The guy just seems to always be in the middle of everything. And I remember, when we had, Derek Wolf and what's the other guy? I don't know. He started out his career as number 70, went to Carolina.
Yeah, I can't remember.
So old, but we were at the scrimmage at the stadium, and it's like, who is that guy? He just keeps making plays, and then he in the Super Bowl he strip sacks. He probably should have scored the touchdown on that one.
Who was that? I know who you're talking about, but I'm drawing a blank on the name too.
Oh, he didn't do anything after he left the Broncos. He wanted big money, and I think they chose to sign Derek Wolf, which they should have.
Sure.
Because man, I love Derek Wolf.
Who doesn't?
Yeah,
who doesn't love Derek Wolf? Miss him on the team, that's for sure.
We finally got some. We finally got some defensive linemen that are constantly in that quarterback's face.
No, and Vance Joseph is just drawing up really good plays to get the players back there and get that pressure going. So this is just all around.
This is the best secondary we've had since the no-fly zone.
By far. Riley Moss. I mean, could you say enough about Riley Moss? It was Damari Mathis. That's who got injured. It wasn't Browning. It was Damari Mathis.
Okay,
Now he did get up off his own. That was
his first game back.
That was his first game back. Now he did get up off his own and everything, but it was late in the game, so we didn't get any other updates or whatnot. So hopefully Damari Mathis isn't like down again for another however many weeks. But I mean, that was the concern. Was this Riley Moss guy, like, okay, he has potential, but is he going to be able to hold up his side of the field opposite Pat Surtain? And I think a lot of us were like, I don't know about this. Like, this is going to be interesting. This guy has just taken the opportunity to the max and said, I don't care about Damari Mathis. This is my spot now.
Yeah. He is so cocky. And we're going to have to call him Vanilla Ross.
Vanilla
Ross.
That might be a good one for him. You're right. He is incredibly cocky. You hear him. He's got swagger, man. But he puts the action behind it. He's not just talk. He goes out there and he makes plays. Yeah. No, he's not to the same level of PS2, but like hardly anyone, if anybody, is to the same level of PS2. He is holding up his side of the field, and he is making it to where the opposing quarterbacks don't know which one they want to test because both are threats. And that is what causes the pressure and causes the sacks and causes the fumbles and causes the interceptions.
Well, and the fact that Chris Harris has come out and endorsed the guy, Chris Harris loves him because of how he plays. So, that's pretty good. Pretty good endorsement there.
Yep. Man, what else from the defense? Again, shout out to Vance Joseph, just scheming up a good game on a short week. This was still a tough Saints team. I know the score doesn't show it, but they were on a 4-game win streak. They're desperate to not go on a 5-game win streak. So look, they're still playing hard, but I think we held Alvin Kamara to only 5 rush yards at halftime. He ended with like 40 some, but like at halftime, he had like 5 rush yards.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it is with this Broncos defense saying, okay, we're tired of hearing that we can't stop the run. I don't know what they changed between last season and this season, but they've stopped the run, man. There's pretty much nobody that's gone by them.
They got the roach in there.
Yep.
He's been a big part of that, man. That guy is you clog up the middle and you allow those linebackers a little bit of freedom to come make those plays. And this is without Singleton.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's kind of amazing.
Exactly. To see Sternad being the top of the tackle list, which is routinely his position there before he went out on being injured this year. So it's hard to just like pinpoint one thing. It is and I'm not saying that this is a defense that's going to go win us a Super Bowl this year, but this feeling from this defense is very similar to what we had in 2015. Just play after play after play, everybody stepping in. The fire, you see the way they hit some of these players. I mean, they're making a statement with some of these hits, man. And it's just fun to watch. It's like, okay, cool. The defense is going out. Like, let's see what they got. Let's see what they're going to do this time because it's probably going to be good.
Yeah, it was kind of nice to see. They're turning these turnovers into points most times now, and that is really an awesome thing. That is a callback to the Super Bowl 50 D. I mean, that was what that defense was known for. You need a big turnover. We're not going to just get the turnover.
Get one.
We're going to get the turnover, and it's going into your end zone.
Yeah. Yep. And they just keep this up, man. I mean, this is a defense that can just get better from here. Not just this year, but the next couple years. And you just got to wait for the offense to figure it out, man. Look, big shout out to Javonte Williams. Big game for him. 85 yards on 14 carries?
I thought it was like 88. I thought
88.
He was almost
88 on 14 carries. Bo Nix was not the lead rusher for the Broncos, which again, every time that Bo has been the lead rusher for the Broncos, we've lost that game. So this was good to see.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was how we saw Javonte run. You look back to especially his second touchdown. he broke some tackles. Like that was what I was talking about in the pregame show. Where is the guy who, okay, you're going to hit me at the line of scrimmage. I'm still getting 5 yards. You hit me 10 yards down the field. I'm still getting 5 more yards.
Right.
That's what we saw from him on Thursday night.
Yeah, he's not shuffling his feet as he goes into the hole. He's actually going to attack the hole. Now, I am concerned he's still, not that he's ever been this blazing fast speed guy, but I think sometimes he just doesn't hit that hole fast enough to get what he should. But, I mean, they're doing a great job opening the holes up. And he was, especially later in the game, he just got stronger, I thought.
Yeah, but that's why you can't abandon the run game, you know?
Yeah.
Javonte, I think, is more of the, I don't say old school, but he's definitely the type of player where you got to feed him the rock. You got to keep letting him, you know, just get that momentum, help him get a read on the defensive line, figure out where those holes are going to be. And by the second half, that third, fourth quarter, you do that. You know, he's the type of player that can make the other team pay for it. By that point, they're tired, they're worn down, and he's going to make him pay. But you can't just give him 5 carries a game and expect him to do that on all 5 carries.
No. Yeah, I thought they could have probably even ran it a little bit more. Yesterday. But
I think we came out wanting to throw a little bit too much. Like, I know in the first half, the run and pass plays were a pretty even split, but especially if you look in that first drive, there were run plays that were not designed run plays. You know, there were probably 3 or 4 more pass plays that they were going to be pass plays, and then Bo Nix took off. So I would still like to see more runs early on, than just see if that can get something going before the second half.
Hey, I think we threw to a tight end too. I don't know.
Did we?
Maybe
what? We're allowed to do that?
Lucas Kroll had three catches on 4 targets. So
Lucas Kroll 3, 3 for 4. Yep.
I don't know what has happened to our guy with the long flowing locks. I mean, he is in such a doghouse.
I mean, I'm almost wondering, is he some sort of trade bait, or we could get maybe a 5th from a very desperate team, like maybe a 6th, but I just don't know what else. Like,
maybe that's why they're trying to keep him healthy. You know, as long as he doesn't pull a hamstring walking to the John, I think we'll be okay.
Right.
But
I just, look, Lucas is, those aren't amazing numbers, but 41 yards on 3 catches.
I like Lucas. Okay. Kroll. I think, I like Troutman even. I mean, Troutman can catch the ball if you throw it to him properly.
You're right.
I
know it looks like he's 0 for 3, but
yeah, I don't understand but one of those that was like a gopher ball. But
it was,
Atkins being out there as the fullback just to me seems like a waste. Put Burton in there and just keep Burton in there. Let him do what a fullback does. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, because I think Burton can catch the ball if he wanted to too. But it's like they roll out Atkins, and I don't know. I just don't know that to me, you got a fullback, use the fullback.
Exactly. So there's still some player moves here, the usage that I'm questioning. You touched on it earlier. Like, why are we almost forcing the ball to Troy Franklin? Like, I get it. We want to see these guys, get them the experience and stuff. But it's kind of hard for me to dispute that when he's, had 50 yards, 5 receptions on 6 targets. So, I mean, good for him. He's kind of turning around with the 1 touchdown last week.
Passes. Hard for him to drop those wide open ones. It just, I don't know. It just seemed forced.
Yeah. Well, you got Cortland Sutton out there, and you saw Adobe, whatever the Saints guy is that went down that was covering Cortland. Once that happened, I was like, oh, Cortland is definitely going to get some big pass or he's going to get a touchdown, but still nothing. I'm like, is he just not getting open? Like, I need to go back and look at some of the replays and stuff, but I'm just like, where was Court all night? But you're right. Like, Court's not a diva. Right. No, they didn't even target him. But Court's not a diva. Court's not Odell Beckham Jr. He's not going to throw that pansy hissy fade. I'm not getting the ball. I want traded. So Court's good. He was laughing and having fun on the sideline after the win as well.
I think that's all he cares about is winning.
Yep. Well, especially after as long as it's been. He's been through, 9 quarterbacks? Yeah, I think he's perfectly fine with walking away with a win, even if he didn't get the ball thrown his way. Like, okay.
Yeah, so for sure.
Well, look, man, I think we covered it pretty well. This team did really well. They had an opportunity, and they took advantage of it. They have another opportunity coming up next weekend with Carolina. We make fun of them for being the JV team of the NFL right now, but hey, they still got to take them seriously. And you're right. If the Broncos are overlooking them and looking forward to Baltimore, we could be 4-4. So I don't want to be in that position. If we're 5-3 and we can win one of those 2 games, Baltimore or the Chiefs, ideally the Chiefs, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. We gotta win the games that we should win. And then maybe we steal 1 or 2.
Yeah. We've already stolen 2. We stole the one against the Jets and we stole the one against Tampa Bay. So we steal a couple more.
I don't see the Chargers beating us. I know we're going to be on the road against them, but I think
we're not. That's Chargers a home game.
Going to Charger eventually.
That's a home game, and karma's going to get back at them for that because they almost did Charger. Because I guarantee you, if we gotten that 2-point conversion, we would have got another touchdown. We would have gone for another 2-point conversion. We would have made it. Chargers would have blown a 23-0 lead. Chargers almost did Charger. So karma's going to get back at him and say, I let you have the last one. You're going to fuck up this one.
Yeah. Chargers. I don't ever worry about a Charger game. I just never have. Even when
they'll get us from time to time, but whatever.
Yeah.
So you're right, man. Sure. We got to win the games that we're supposed to win. And it starts with enjoying this little bye week, getting a little bit healthier, letting some of those bumps and bruises heal, get some ice packs on those, and then get ready for Carolina. They're still hungry for a win, they're hurting, but it's early enough in the season where they could start getting something going. And they know that. So they're still NFL players. They're out there just as hungry for a win as we are.
Yep. No doubt at all. So,
hey guys, a couple things. Make sure you pick up some of this beautiful and delicious championship blend from Breckenridge Distillery. If you need some more whiskey or bourbon, these guys are the place to go. Also, if you need some Broncos vodka, man, they got you covered for that as well. Don't forget to check out our other content. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Time is our Bourbon Broncos No BS flagship show. We also got the pregame podcast that'll go up iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher on Friday or Saturday. Every game day, we got our tailgate talk pregame show 1 hour before kickoff and our live halftime hash show as well. So make sure you guys check all of that other content out. Subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook and all those other places. Comment, share for the algorithm. FTA helps us out the most. Definitely appreciate everybody tuning in and listening, whether we're live or if you're listening on one of the podcast platforms. We do this for you guys. So definitely appreciate all of the support. Scott, man, look, this was fun. It's definitely, I'm surprised at the number of happy post-game podcasts we've gotten to do this year.
Yes.
I know you're just joining at a good time. John and I routinely were very sad on these shows. So it's good to have you here. Going to be talking about Broncos wins on top of it, man. But let's do some closing thoughts, man. So what you got?
Well, I'll tell you, I want the Broncos. biggest thing, again, just stay grounded, stay focused, win the games that you should win. And, and you can steal some. This defense is good enough. They're going to steal some games. And then if that offense, and I keep saying, I think it's ready for a breakout. This should have been a breakout game.
Should have been.
We missed a couple big plays.
Yep.
Now it's just putting it all together and working it in there. But I'm hoping for a 10-11 win season. That would blow everybody's mind. But
it's not out of the question.
It's just, let's stay grounded. Let's stay focused. Let's stay healthy more than anything.
Yeah.
Keep those guys healthy. They're going to be fine.
Yep.
So
love it, man. Look, 1 week at a time, just like what you're saying. Those injuries were kind of starting to pile up on us, and it's fantastic to see the next man up attitude actually play out positively. You look at examples like Riley Moss, you look at Justin Sternad, all these guys who are stepping up for injured players, and that's great and all, but we don't have a lot of depth. We're kind of getting close to the point of being concerned, right? If we have any other long-term injuries, so knock on wood right here. Anybody listening, do that as well. But if we can overcome this, get through this little mini bye week, like I said, get a little healthier. We got McGlinchey back. Hopefully Mathis comes back as well, so we have some more depth there to help out Riley Moss. But it's good to see this coaching staff really helping just create this new environment, the new culture within the Broncos organization, because we were a losing team year in and year out. And that's what the players expected. That's what just internally, right? And we're seeing the opposite of that now. We're seeing a team that wants to fight for something. I don't know what that something is other than what you said earlier in the show. And I'm just going to repeat it again. They're fighting for each other, and that's going to what's going to push you over those tough games. If you find yourself in a losing streak, whatever the case is. So I like it, man. We're finally starting to see something good, dude. We're finally starting to see something good.
I'm feeling good about where we're going.
No,
and
it's crazy to say that, right?
Like I said, I've always been the most optimistic person, but I also try to keep it real.
Yeah.
And I do believe that we're coming out of the darkness.
Thank God, because it's been bad for a long time. So, hey, if you guys have been here with us from the beginning, we've been doing this show for 9 years. So we've been doing this show through the dark ages. Okay. Like, we are also equally as excited, if not more so, to be talking about really good things. Like, I don't know, a playoff game or a playoff win. That might be a year or so from now or down the road. But hey, looking at a team that already has 4 wins, they were slated to, the odds were 5.5 on the season. It's interesting to see what this team can do with this defense. So anyway, man, hey, Scott, thank you as always, buddy. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for all the comments, everybody tuning in, everybody listening. But Scott, man, I don't think there's anything left to say other than to end this, as we always do, on a very strong Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Take care, everyone.
Do what I like, yeah, do what I like, yeah, do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right, and I go with the flow.